Hi there folks. This video is going to be a benchtop review of this Barnaul brand 30-06 ammunition. Now Barnaul is sourced from Russia where it is manufactured. That's fairly evident by the fact that the box is in English on one side and in Russian on the other. This particular loading is their 145 grain full metal jacket loading. So rather shop-worn box here, came from a gun show, so it's probably been handled by 1,000 people before I bought it. Anyway, got a very simple flip-top box with cardboard dividers to keep the ammo from getting banged up too much. Interestingly, they tell you that the lot number, year, and month of production are on the underside of the flap, which they are. So this is lot B51 from 2010 in the month of July. So we'll get an individual round out here and have a look at it. Kind of an unusual looking round. I did a video previous to this one to get some input on the reason for this ring around the cartridge case, and some comments on that video from viewers and some links to some other forums and so forth have led me to believe that this basically is an expansion joint to allow the steel cases to stretch. Now that's not necessary on a lot of steel cartridge cases because they are shorter or are tapered or rimmed, but the 30-06 is quite a long cartridge case, and apparently in some firearms the relatively less elastic nature of the steel could lead to the risk of case head separations. So basically this ring acts as an expansion joint to prevent that from happening. So anyway, that seemed like the most reasonable explanation that I heard in my discussions and research for the purpose of that ring. So this is a steel cartridge case with a zinc plating, so of course a magnet sticks to that. And the zinc plating is fairly thin. If you leave this stuff out on the ground, I've seen it on the ground at ranges, not particularly the 30-06, but just other Barnaul zinc-plated ammo, it gets corroded fairly quickly when it's left outside. So just sort of a storage and general handling sort of coating, not really very thick. So let's move down to the head stamp here, see if we can read that. And you can see that it says 30-06 Springfield there on the head stamp. And we've got a stylized symbol there for the Barnaul company, which is sort of shaped roughly in the shape of a bullet. It's that one at the 12 o'clock position there. And if we rotate it around a little more, you can see it says MFS. And MFS is a Hungarian brand of ammo that has been basically reselling Russian-made Barnaul ammo under their brand name for many different cartridges. So apparently they just use the same head stamping dies as they do for their production for that company. Anyway, we've got a large diameter berdan primer, and it looks to be about a 1/4 inch size primer, and there's a little bit of sealant around the primer there just to moisture proof it. Up at the other end, you can see, if you look closely at the junction of the bullet and the case neck, you can see some sort of stab marks there from a crimp that's been applied to lock the bullet into the cartridge case. This bullet has a bit of a candelor in it, so that securely locks the two together. So anyway, kind of a distinctive looking cartridge. So let's see what's going on inside it. I broke down some of this ammunition and weighed some of the components. So first thing we'll show you is the powder that's in these. And as you can see, this is an IMR style of extruded powder, and it's most likely a double base powder, but I do not know that for sure. I'm just speculating. Sort of the speed range that would make sense for this type of cartridge would be 48-95-ish, but I don't know. I haven't test fired any of these yet, so the velocity that this powder charge gets is unknown to me at this point in time. The 10 cartridges that I pulled apart, I weighed the powder charges, and this sort of summarizes what I got for those weights. So as you can see, we ended up with an average of 50.4 grains with a standard deviation of 0.1 of a grain and an extreme spread of 0.4 of a grain. So that's not match grade, but it's certainly good enough, I would say, as far as the consistency of the powder charges. Now before we get away from that too much further, I'm just going to put the powder back in the cartridge case here just to show you how far up it goes in the case. So with the powder back in, with some more light on the subject here, you can see that the powder charge fills the cartridge case up fairly well. It's sort of to the start of the slope of the shoulder there is where it comes inside the case. So a fairly full cartridge case, certainly not 100% density, but fairly full, which is generally a good thing as far as consistency, is having a good full charge of powder. And while we're looking at the cartridge case, you can see that the inside of the case neck does not have any sealant on it, so there is no waterproofing applied to the junction of the bullet and the case neck, so they're relying on the mechanical sort of interface between the bullet and the cartridge case to provide whatever waterproofing may be available. So from there we'll move on to the actual bullet itself, and here's the projectile. And once again, this has got a steel jacket. You can see the magnets next to it, and it has what appears to be a copper coating over that for some rust proofing and perhaps for some anti-friction capabilities when it's going down the barrel. So a full metal jacket bullet. We have a cantilever that's turned into it here, and kind of unusually we have this this base which is concave, and that looks kind of similar to the old 7.62x54 L-type bullet that the Russians used to load years ago. This is a lead core bullet, and the other important thing here is the diameter. So we'll check the diameter of this projectile, and as you can see, it comes out right around the 308 mark. So there we go, 3 and 308. So that's right where you'd want to see a 30-06 bullet. So a very conventional construction of bullet. And once again, I weighed 10 of those. Let's get my notes here. And here are the weights of the 10 bullets that were pulled and weighed. So there we go. There's the list of the bullet weights. So we come up with an average of 145.55. We can round that to 145.6 grains. We got a standard deviation of 0.7 of a grain and an extreme spread of 2.6 grains over the 10 bullets that were weighed. So that's just okay. That's certainly not exceptional uniformity. But then again, this is pretty much the cheapest 30-06 ammunition that you will find if you go into a gun store. So you can't really expect, match grade type ammunition when it's just about the cheapest stuff you can find. I bought this ammo for $10 a box, which was a good price. I think it goes for $15 to $20 in most instances. Anyway, I think that's enough for this benchtop review, and we'll see this stuff again when I get it out to the range and we'll give it a test fire. Anyway, thanks for your time, and as always I appreciate any comments you may have, and anything in the way of a rating on the video is appreciated too. It helps keep these videos afloat. Anyway, thanks again for your time, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.